I feel like I'm going to rant about tonight's show. I sensed a very divisive environment on social media. Sometimes when people express their opinion, others really can't handle it because you've hyped yourself so much. You hyped yourself up so much that you've already kind of brainwashed yourself. You manipulated yourself to thinking that it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. There's no way Triple H is going to fail us. Only to hear it from somebody like me when, yes, I love Triple H just as much as everybody else. I want him to succeed, no doubt about it. But when someone like me comes along and is brutally honest and doesn't show favoritism because Triple H is in charge of creative over Vince McMahon, it's going to send a bad vibe to somebody reading that on social media. You're going to get upset because you want it to be so great. And when someone tells you it's not, you get an attitude and people just flip their shit on social media. That's the type of vibe it was during the Royal Rumble tonight on Twitter. There was a lot I did not like about this show. There was a lot I did not like about this show. There was a lot that I did like about this show. It was a very 50-50 show. And honestly, between me and you guys, if that ending to that Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns match did not happen on this show, this was a thumbs down show. That entire ending to the Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns match saved this show from being a thumbs down show. I want to start with that, being that it's literally the most important thing in the sport right now, is this Bloodline storyline with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I said this for weeks. There will be grown men with tears in their eyes when Sami Zayn gets whacked from the Bloodline. And that's exactly what happened. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I legitimately just felt it coming on. I felt Sami Zayn was going to do something tonight. I didn't know what was going to happen before coming into this. I didn't know if Sami was going to leave on his own accord. I didn't know if Roman kind of made a decision for him and was going to whack him out of the Bloodline, Mafia style, on his own, just by coming up with his own reasons. But when Sami Zayn was handed that steel chair tonight from Roman Reigns, and Roman ordered him to beat down a lifeless Kevin Owens, I saw it all over his face. I'm not going to do this. There's no reason for me to. I'm going to just take a chance here, man, and sacrifice myself to the fucking wolves. He basically threw himself in shark-infested waters and had absolutely no regard for his own life. Sami Zayn hit Roman Reigns in a beautiful callback to what Seth Rollins did when he turned his back on the Shield all those years ago on Roman. When Seth left the Shield to join Triple H. That was a beautiful callback. Sami Zayn took the chair and blasted Roman Reigns in the back. And then after that, Sami Zayn's fate was sealed. The Bloodline beat the living shit out of Sami Zayn, and I would be lying to you if I told you I did not have some sort of watery substance start coming out of my eyes. Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because this is the type of television that I love. Not only because it's WWE, not only because it's professional wrestling, but I want to make a comparison here. I love the villain. I always have loved the villain. Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan on The Walking Dead was absolutely one of the most beautiful casting jobs and characters that I've ever seen in any drama I have ever watched. He was absolutely pristine in everything he did. Season 7, episode 1, he took a baseball bat to Abraham and Glenn and bashed their fucking skulls in. There's no fucking way you watched The Walking Dead up until that episode not caring about those characters. There's no way you watched up until that episode and you didn't fucking cry over the fact that Glenn, of all people, was fucking killed right there in front of everybody, including his wife. That's what this reminded me of. This is the type of television that I love. Shit that just sucks you in and is overly emotional. There were so many fucking emotions going into this thing. Sadness, empathy, fucking frustration. Every human emotion was emitted in this one segment, mostly throughout this storyline. But in this one segment, it just came down to Sami Zayn doing what he felt was right, the love of his best friend. And he threw himself to the fucking wolves and realized that the Bloodline really doesn't care about him. They beat the shit out of him to a point where the show went off the air with Sami Zayn laying lifeless on the mat and Kevin Owens hung up in the ropes, handcuffed to both wrists as if he was sacrificed to the fucking cross. This was one of the best endings to any WWE pay-per-view in the history of WWE. This was the best ending to a premium live event / pay-per-view since 1997, when Bret the Hitman Hart wrestled The Undertaker in New Jersey at SummerSlam, and Shawn Michaels accidentally hit The Undertaker with a steel chair, giving Bret the Hitman Hart the WWE Championship in a match that not only kicked off Hell in a Cell for the first time ever, one of the biggest rivalries in the history of pro wrestling, but it also signaled the beginning of the Attitude Era. That was the greatest end to a championship match in the history of the company. WWE in 2023 gave you possibly one of the greatest endings to a show ever. And without that ending, this show was a thumbs down. Absolutely a thumbs down show. Everything about that ending was fucking perfect. Now we run into a huge problem. Now we run into a major problem. Sami is now the biggest babyface in the entire WWE, and there's nobody close. There's not one man, including the man who won the Men's Royal Rumble tonight. There's not one man in this company that is on the same fucking planet as Sami Zayn right now. What's the problem? WWE, and I'm telling you this right now, you can fucking quote me on this. WWE will not even come close to writing Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns as hot as Roman and Sami. WWE will never be able to duplicate the amount of heat right now between Roman and Sami for Roman and Cody at WrestleMania. Now their backs are against the wall. Now, the discussion was coming into this, who's going to win the Royal Rumble? WWE did the stereotypical thing, the prototypical thing here. Cody won the Royal Rumble. Sami wasn't in the Royal Rumble. If he was, it would have presented a problem. Sami had no business being in the Royal Rumble. There were several notable names that weren't in the Royal Rumble. Sami was not in the Royal Rumble. They gave it to Cody. Now you present a problem for yourself and the audience, because at the end of this show, just like when we were going into this show, who do the people want? You were 50-50 split on WWE's Cody and Sami. Who's going to win the Royal Rumble? Now, after tonight, who the fuck do you want to go to WrestleMania? Who the fuck do you want to go beat Roman? And who the fuck do you want to go win with the World Heavyweight Championship? It certainly ain't fucking Cody Rhodes. Every single person after tonight now wants Sami Zayn as the World Heavyweight Champion of World Wrestling Entertainment, and you cannot convince me otherwise. WWE did a major disservice to Cody Rhodes tonight in more ways than one. not just because of what they did to end this show with Sami Zayn. They literally booked the entire Royal Rumble to open the show ass backwards. WWE did Cody Rhodes no favors tonight. Zero. And they started the show off by giving you predictable Cody Rhodes, which we knew because I've been conditioning you guys to set Cody Rhodes up for a WrestleMania main event match. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. There was nobody else in that match that even made sense. It was either him or Sami. You could have made an argument for Seth. You could have made an argument for Austin Theory. You could have made an argument for Gunther after what he did tonight, which we'll get into. But there was nobody but Sami or Cody. Nobody. And Cody was the one in the match. Sami was not. Cody won the Royal Rumble. WWE is now looking at a very, very, very serious situation. Situation that I don't think Cody Rhodes is good enough to really escape from. It's almost as if everything that we wanted back in the summer when Cody gave us that heroic Hell in a Cell match, it's almost as if the hero came back to do what he needed to do, and all because of something else that happened. While he was away, the hero ended up becoming the villain. Not really a villain, but you know what I mean. Not the one, not the chosen one, not the fans' choice to go to WrestleMania. WWE, with what they did with Cody Rhodes, absolutely, to me, was one of the worst creative decisions that they could have made. They sent this man out there at number 30 to go win the Royal Rumble. Why on earth would you send him out there at number 30 to go win the fucking Royal Rumble? First of all, I want to let you guys know, WrestleVotes, and I don't really know if this is legit or not. I'm not going to say so. I'm not going to cite it as legit, but WrestleVotes usually is spot on with a lot of their shit. But we heard a report that WWE was very pleased with the surprises that they had lined up for the Men's Royal Rumble. So that's why they gave you Cody Rhodes and the announcement of Cody Rhodes announcing himself in the Royal Rumble instead of making it a surprise. What exactly did we get in that Royal Rumble that they were pleasantly fucking pleased with? I know I wasn't pleased with much of anything that happened in that match. Cody Rhodes comes out at number 30. The reaction to Cody Rhodes would have been a lot better if he was not announced for the Royal Rumble, number one. Number two, having him show up at number 30 to win the Royal Rumble reeks of predictability. That was one of the most predictable outcomes, and I'm not saying predictable is bad, but you blatantly threw it in everybody's face, and you knew that he was winning as soon as his music went off at number 30. Why would you do that? Cody Rhodes was out for 7 months. He comes back, comes out at number 30, and wins the Royal Rumble. Where exactly is the struggle there? Where is the struggle for Cody Rhodes? I heard some people give me excuses online. Oh, it's Cody Rhodes. Don't worry about it. He deserves it. I'm sorry. He's been here for a fucking cup of coffee and 3 matches with Seth Rollins and 1 match with the fucking Miz and 1 match with Kevin Owens on Monday Night Raw. Where exactly does he deserve it? Oh, he's got seniority now, and he proved to everybody with what he did inside Hell in a Cell. I'm sorry. That's not the way things work in the business world. When Cody Rhodes does what he does at Hell in a Cell and then gets injured and goes away for 7 months, that doesn't mean his spot is ready for him when he comes back. That doesn't give you the liberty to book him in a undeserving spot at number 30 to go out there and win the fucking Royal Rumble by putting minimal effort in. The effort that we saw in Hell in a Cell is not the same effort that should be judged in the Royal Rumble. WWE made Cody Rhodes look like the people. Cody Rhodes looked like the guy that the people don't want going into WrestleMania. By that one decision itself, they booked that shit backwards. Now, on one hand, they had Gunther. They had Gunther come out at number 1 and Sheamus come out at number 2. The fact that Triple H booked Gunther to break the all-time Royal Rumble record is fucking incredible. If you're not high up on Gunther after tonight, I don't know what the fuck you're watching. Guy's been this way since the days that he started in NXT UK. I'm glad you're all now starting to come around. Guy's been putting on bangers after banger after banger. For how many years now? This is the guy that Vince wanted to fucking fire and send back down to NXT. Gunther lasted 70 minutes. You know how I would have booked it? You know how I would have did things instead of the way WWE did things? On one hand, you got Gunther lasting 70 fucking minutes, which is miraculous in itself. Incredible that somebody like that lasted 70 minutes. And he is the Intercontinental Champion, so the shine on the Intercontinental Championship is a fucking gorgeous thing to see. Because Vince buried that championship for so long, and Triple H literally in, 8-9 months, has made the IC title just as valuable as the fucking titles that Roman Reigns is holding. That in itself is fucking change. But to have Cody Rhodes come out at number 30 and then struggle against somebody like Gunther, on one hand, it looks great. But on the other hand, it seems very undeserving of somebody that just came back. It sounds like, and it looks like, and it feels like he's just being handed WrestleMania on a silver platter because he's Cody Rhodes. That's not going to really seem like the guy people want against Roman at WrestleMania, especially not with what happened with Sami Zayn at the end of this match. If you wanted Cody Rhodes to be the apple of the eye of the fans in San Antonio, Texas, Cody Rhodes should not have been creatively booked to come out at number 30. Cody Rhodes should have at least, I'm not even saying he had to come out at number 1, but at least give me 40 fucking minutes, 30 minutes in the Royal Rumble. How much better would it have looked if Cody lasted 30 minutes and then had a stare down and he had to go through the entire Rumble struggling to stay alive, coming back from a debilitating injury to look at Gunther as the last man standing and his last obstacle, who lasted an hour in the Royal Rumble? Now look at that situation compared to what you got. Cody was in there for 5 fucking minutes before he got to Gunther standing face to face with him at the end of the match. Now they put on a 10-minute fucking clinic in the main event of that match, the last segment of that match, but it doesn't equal him winning the Royal Rumble and everybody being fucking crazy about it. I wanted him to win the Royal Rumble if the situation was right. And WWE went about it in the worst possible way for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes should have at least came out at number 1. If you didn't want him to go all the way and he couldn't do it because he's coming back from an injury like that, at least throw him in the middle of the pack at number 15 or so and give him some struggle to go out there so when he gets to the end, it's an equal playing field. It makes him look like the conquering hero who had to go through at least some of the Royal Rumble to go to WrestleMania. Giving him number 30 basically hands him the fucking WrestleMania main event and a 10-minute fucking square off with Gunther. To me, that's not deserving of WrestleMania, especially after what we saw with Sami Zayn. I'm sorry. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry. Absolutely ass backwards. On the other hand, you could have did Gunther coming out at number 30 or in the middle of the pack and Cody showing up at number 1. It's almost as if they booked it backwards. Now, Gunther lasted 70 minutes. IC title looks great. But how do you think Gunther looks at the end of that when he lasted 70 fucking minutes and Cody Rhodes, fresh as a fucking daisy, comes out at number 30 and Gunther gets eliminated? I mean, holy fucking shit. He threw out how many fucking guys in that Royal Rumble, but he can't get rid of Cody Rhodes, who he was beaten down anyway in that match. Chop after chop after chop. But look at Cody Rhodes fucking tore the other pec. That's how fucking red his chest was. Just throwing some facts at you. Gunther lasted 70 fucking minutes, but he can't fucking stand toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes, who he was beaten to a pulp. I don't get it. I don't get it. At least at that point, if you did it reverse and Gunther came out at number 30 and Cody had lasted, it would have made Cody look like a fucking valiant superhero, eliminating the fresh Gunther who was dominating. If Gunther came out at number 30 and dominated the end of the match and fucking beat down Cody, Gunther is bulletproof. Gunther is bulletproof. Nobody's pinned him yet. So what difference does it make if Cody threw him out at number 30? Undeserving. Now you're looking at a situation where I'm watching a Royal Rumble. Gunther's lasting 70 fucking minutes. You think I want Cody Rhodes to win the Royal Rumble? Fuck no. I was watching this shit, and I said, after all this shit, I want Gunther to win the fucking Royal Rumble. That's the shit that the Royal Rumble does to the viewer. You can't book Gunther like that and then have him get eliminated by Cody Rhodes. You can't do that. I wanted Gunther to go to WrestleMania. That was my feeling at the end of that Royal Rumble match. I'm sorry. Absolutely disappointing. Disappointing. Now, when Cody Rhodes, I'm telling you right now, when Cody Rhodes wins the World Championship, this man will be right back where he was in AEW, and he will be heel, not because he wants to go heel, but the fans are going to turn on Cody Rhodes. Mark my words. I already feel it happening. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. You had one opportunity to get this right, and they fucking failed. Now he's going to WrestleMania, and guess what? He's the second hottest guy on the roster. And he had a subpar WrestleMania start to his season. A subpar Royal Rumble performance. That's somebody that I'm going to invest my time in now? All you had to do was do the right thing. People were telling me, he's not ready for a Royal Rumble. He's not ready to go the long distance in the Royal Rumble. Gunther, the way Gunther chops, it feels like you've been through 6 Royal Rumbles. Don't give me that shit. Don't. This guy was in there, and he was getting his ass handed to him. Cody Rhodes could have fucking laid on the fucking mat like Ric Flair did for half of the fucking 92 Royal Rumble and take a breather in the Rumble match for half the fucking thing. You mean to tell me he couldn't last 30, 40 minutes to give us at least a decent effort to try and make it to the end and then overcome the fucking foreign villain? The American Nightmare, overcoming the foreign villain wasn't the right way to go about it by booking him earlier in the match? I'm sorry. WWE could have did this so much better. So much better. Not a fan of it. The other problem, which people don't seem to understand about the Royal Rumbles, you got to understand, when I tweet, it's my fucking opinion. I didn't ask you to fucking agree with me. I didn't ask you to disagree with me. I don't give a fuck what you think about what I tweet. It's my tweet, and if you want to go fucking tweet, you go tweet on your Twitter. That's number one. Number two, I am very, very picky with the Royal Rumbles. If everybody's in the community, very mediocre when it comes to the Royal Rumbles, very content with these current formats for the Royal Rumble, that's on you. That doesn't mean that you get to fucking criticize me and what I feel about the fucking Royal Rumble, because there is a very clear disconnection from the WWE and booking a Royal Rumble match. Go back and watch the 1992 Royal Rumble. Go back and watch any of the classic Royal Rumble matches from the 90s and into the Attitude Era, where some of them were really good and some of them weren't. WWE has not booked a Royal Rumble that has lasted memories and lasted years since I don't even know when. I don't. The Royal Rumble that WWE booked Drew McIntyre to win before the pandemic, that was a beautiful Royal Rumble. That was a great Royal Rumble. I don't know what you guys feel about the Royal Rumble, but there is a serious disconnect with the way WWE books these Royal Rumbles. And what I mean by that is, A, the aisleway and the entrance ramp is fucking incredibly ridiculous. By the time somebody comes out and walks down the aisle and gets to the ring, the buzzer is going off already. That's number one. That's why I said on Twitter the matches feel rushed. There is way too much distance between the ring and the goddamn entranceway. So when someone comes down the aisle, before they get into the fucking ring, you got 20 seconds and you got people counting down already. That's mistake number one. Mistake number two, WWE has these 90 seconds. Sometimes it felt like 90 seconds. Sometimes it felt like 60 seconds. I don't know. I don't know if they have a set time for when the buzzer goes off between participants. WWE used to do 2 minutes. 2 minutes. They got no problem having the Royal Rumble match go an hour and 30 minutes, but then they got a fucking problem between when competitors come out. The intervals in between competitors. Sometimes it's 90 seconds. One year WWE went to 60 seconds. That was complete garbage. WWE used to have 2 minutes. Every single fucking Royal Rumble that WWE does as of late, it always feels rushed. Not in the way where they're rushing through the match. Not in a way where it's, oh my God, it lasted 50 minutes or so. WWE has these Royal Rumbles feel so rushed because there is so many quick eliminations to a point where nothing really stands out. They send somebody to go out there, get your fucking 10 seconds of shit in, and then somebody gets eliminated. I'm sorry, I don't want to see Elias in the Royal Rumble if he's going to be in there for 20 fucking seconds. I'm sorry, I don't want to see Chelsea Green show up in the Royal Rumble and then get eliminated in 2 seconds. That's not a Royal Rumble to me. Way too many participants with this fluff in the Royal Rumble. Buzzer goes off, they get in there, they get their shit in, and then they get eliminated. That's a Royal Rumble to you. That's a Royal Rumble to you. I'm sorry, that's not a Royal Rumble to me. Go back and watch the 1992 Royal Rumble. There was a decent-sized aisleway. 2 minutes between competitors. There were stories. There were intrigue. There were 5 WWE champions in that Royal Rumble. Back in the day, that was a lot. That was the story. They had people in that Rumble that you knew had a great chance of winning the Royal Rumble. The concept of the Royal Rumble hasn't changed. I don't give a fuck if I'm talking about a 1944 Royal Rumble. I don't give a shit. The concept is the same. Nobody teases an elimination. Nobody's teetering on the top rope. Nobody's fucking showing the pressure of holding on to survive. Everybody comes in, they get tossed out, and then goodbye. On to the next guy. And WWE kept it maintained with Edge and the Judgment Day, Austin Theory and Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. Stories that were happening in the Rumble, I appreciate. But everything in between those moments, it lasted fucking 20 seconds. Lasted fucking 20 seconds. Now, I will say this. WWE had a better Royal Rumble this year than they did last year. I will say that. That's a very low bar. That's a very low bar. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're really comparing there. Anything was better than last year's. But there is a huge disconnect from the Royal Rumble and WWE booking the Royal Rumble. Everything is like, let's speed through it. Let's get through it. Let's get the fucking outcome and move on to the next match. There is no struggle. There is no live or die feeling in these Royal Rumbles anymore. None. Johnny Gargano lasted 40 fucking minutes in the Royal Rumble. Do you think they made a fucking big stink about it? Do you think they showed him doing whatever he's doing to survive in the Royal Rumble? I remember back in 1993, Bob Backlund lasted 62 minutes in the Royal Rumble, and they kept a fucking eye on him throughout the entire match. Every fucking elimination that he was about to fucking go over the top rope, he's hanging on. He's fucking hanging on by the skin of his ass. He's fucking hanging on by a fingernail. And they showed him surviving every single fucking time. And Bob Backlund in 1993 was the last guy standing. And guess who he stood across the ring from? Yokozuna. At the end of that Royal Rumble, the way that he survived and the way he eliminated people made you believe that he was actually going to have a decent shot. Now he knew he wasn't. A decent shot at eliminating Yoko. And Yoko fucking dispatched of him like that. Absolutely ridiculous. I think he was number 3. He was the next to last. Macho Man was the last one. That was the Royal Rumble where Macho Man jumped off the top rope and tried to deliver a fucking elbow drop and a pin in the Royal Rumble. And Yokozuna eliminated him by laying on his back over the top rope. That was fucking ridiculous. That was absolutely fucking ridiculous. Do you get my point? Do you get where I'm coming from? Do you see any of that internal struggle in the WWE Royal Rumbles now? No. Everything is like big entrance, fireworks, lighting, big aisleway, in the ring, 10 seconds, eliminated. Next guy, rinse and repeat. You can't argue with me, man. You can't sit here and talk Royal Rumbles with me, man. I've been watching Royal Rumbles longer than you fucking people have been alive. Give me a break. There is no focus on survival. Yet they want to brag, longest record here, Royal Rumble stats here. They give you the fucking breakdown of the Royal Rumble and the history of the Royal Rumble, but then they don't execute on the history and what makes the Royal Rumble special. Same thing happened with the women. The women's match, to be quite honest with you, I actually enjoyed the women's match more for one very small reason. Not because it was a better match. I thought the women's match up until maybe the halfway point. Up until the halfway point, I thought the women's match was utterly fucking boring. Up until the halfway point when we started seeing surprises and, we had Asuka coming out and she comes out dressed as the fucking psycho Asuka that she was in Stardom or Japan, right? Fucking Kana comes out with that face paint. That alone made me want to see Asuka win the Royal Rumble. But I enjoyed the ladies a little bit more than the men because there were actually surprises in the Royal Rumble. We got Asuka coming out as Kana. We got Doudrop fucking getting a name change to Piper Niven. Chelsea Green shows up in the Royal Rumble. There were at least Roxanne Perez showed up in the Royal Rumble. There were no NXT talent in the men's Rumble. The NXT talent, which I'll get to in the women's Royal Rumble, were more than the men, but even they didn't get a long-lasting spot in the Rumble. And that is the type of match that you should be using for those type of people to get over. The ladies had a little bit more surprise element to it. The men's didn't have not one single surprise. Jay White, everybody was thinking Jay White was going to be in the Royal Rumble. I don't know where the fuck he got that rumor. I debunked that shit fucking 3 times over before we got to the pay-per-view. I don't know who was feeding you that information, but that was never going to happen with what he's got going on next month. Matt Cardona was somebody I thought we'd see. We didn't see him. There was a possibility the Great Muta could have been in the Royal Rumble. We didn't even see guys like Dexter Lumis and Bronson Reed in the fucking Royal Rumble. WWE had a very good problem in the Royal Rumble. They had a lot of talent that they couldn't even fit in there. But at the end of the day, the match really didn't deliver, and they booked it backwards with Cody Rhodes coming out at number 30. The ladies, at least we got the right winner. At least we got Rhea Ripley winning the Royal Rumble. I loved the ending to the women's Royal Rumble more so than the men's because it was very intriguing. It came down to Liv Morgan, who drew number 1, right? She came in number 2. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Asuka. And Asuka looked great. By the time we got to the end, I'm like, I wouldn't mind if Asuka wins. I mean, this is a brand new Asuka, a very ferocious Asuka. This Asuka looked more like the black and gold Asuka that we seen back in the day, but with face paint. This creepy fucking face paint she had on. But at the end of the day, Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble in a very, very nicely done way. They were all on the ring apron. Liv Morgan was on the ring apron. Rhea Ripley and Asuka were all on the ring apron. Rhea Ripley sandwiched in between them. Ripley ducks. Asuka shoots blue mist at Liv Morgan's face. Hits Liv Morgan. Intended to hit Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley trips up Asuka by kind of making a dive into the ring and a leg sweep out into the ring. Knocks Asuka off the ring apron. Knocks her to the outside. Eliminates Asuka. And then Liv Morgan gets eliminated as Rhea Ripley's hanging on for dear life. Pulls herself up. Skins the cat from the outside. And a head scissor over the top. Gets eliminated by Rhea Ripley. That was a great ending. That was a great ending. That's what I want to see. Rhea Ripley's star was made. That star was made well before tonight. That star was made when Vince was still there. He just didn't see it. All of a sudden, Vince goes bye-bye. Triple H puts big priority on Judgment Day, and Rhea Ripley owns this shit. Basically is the leader of Judgment Day. She's the most over figure in the Judgment Day, and whatever the fuck she's been doing, she absolutely deserves to go to WrestleMania. Now I can only hope that she goes against Bianca Belair, because that's a match that I'd love to see, and that is a match that, honestly, we should have gotten well before this. I believe they were supposed to wrestle at Money in the Bank last year, and Rhea Ripley did not, make the match. She was not able to make the match because she had to get a dental procedure done. And they bypassed that match completely, and by the time she gets back and ready to get back on the road with the WWE, Becky Lynch is getting a title shot, and they never went back to it. Now Rhea Ripley has no choice but to get her championship match, and it's happening at WrestleMania. No problem with that at all. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I know I pitched Naomi to win the Royal Rumble, but she wasn't even in there. She wasn't even in there. And I'm glad she wasn't in there. Looking at what had transpired tonight, A, with the Bloodline, and B, with Rhea Ripley in that Royal Rumble, that was the right call. That was the right call. If Rhea Ripley was not going to be planned to win the Royal Rumble and they would have given her the Elimination Chamber in February and Naomi was supposed to come back and win the Rumble, then that's a different story. But having Naomi in the Royal Rumble and then getting eliminated only to show up and then not really make an impact when you want somebody like that to come back and make an impact, they went with the right decision in Rhea Ripley tonight. Bray Wyatt, we'll get into that. Fucking shit. Garbage. Another gimmick match, another Bray failure. Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair, better off suited for fucking main event on Hulu. Complete waste of my fucking time. And Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, great main event match. Absolutely one of the best endings to a WWE pay-per-view of all time.